I was sitting alone in my tiny apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The rain tapped against my window like a soft melody. I had just come home from another long day at the MIT research lab. My eyes were heavy, my body exhausted, but my mind would not rest. Then I saw it. A cream-colored envelope sitting on my kitchen counter. Elegant. Expensive. I opened it with trembling fingers. And there it was, my sister's name next to the name of the man I thought I would marry. 3 years together. Gone. But the betrayal that cut deepest was not his. Before I share what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. And if stories about overcoming family betrayal speak to your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to join our community. Because what my mother did behind my back while I was pursuing my dreams at MIT changed everything I believed about family and love. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, I learned very early that love in my family came with conditions. My name is Inez, and for as long as I can remember, I lived in the shadow of my younger sister, Kristen. My mother, Dolores, never missed an opportunity to remind me of the differences between us. Kristen was the beautiful one, the charming one, the daughter who made her proud just by existing. I was the one who was lucky to have a good brain. The comparison started before I could even understand what they meant. When I was 10 years old, my birthday came and went without celebration. My mother simply forgot to buy a cake. She apologized with a shrug and said we would do something next week. Next week never came. But when Kristen turned 10, our house transformed into a wonderland of pink balloons and streamers. Every kid in her class received a handmade invitation. There was a 3-tier cake with her name written in sparkly frosting. I watched from the corner of the room, eating a slice of cake that tasted like disappointment. The inequality extended to everything. Kristen wore new dresses from the mall, while I wore hand-me-downs from distant cousins. Kristen got dance lessons and piano lessons. I got the message loud and clear that investing in me was not worth the money. So I found my own escape. My father, Frank, had an old computer in the garage, outdated and forgotten. I taught myself how to use it. I discovered a world where my worth was not determined by how pretty my smile was or how well I could charm the neighbors. My father was a quiet man. He worked as an engineer at a local manufacturing plant, coming home tired every evening. He was kind to me in small ways. A gentle pat on the shoulder. A knowing look when my mother's criticism cut too deep. But he never stood up for me. Not once. I remember crying in my room after my mother accused me of being jealous of Kristen for something I did not even do. My father came in, sat on the edge of my bed, and said, "Your mother does not mean it. She loves you in her own way." His own way of love felt a lot like silence. The only person who truly saw me was my grandmother, Louise. She was my mother's mother, but the two of them could not have been more different. Grandma Louise had a small house at the edge of town with a garden full of roses and a kitchen that always smelled like fresh bread. Every Sunday, I would walk to her house, and we would sit on her porch swing talking about everything and nothing. She was the one who noticed when I won the school science fair. She was the one who read every essay I wrote and told me I had a gift with words. She was the one who held my face in her wrinkled hands and said something I have never forgotten. She told me that I should never let anyone else define my value. She said that the world would try to put me in a box, but I was meant to build my own world. Grandma Louise passed away when I was 16. Cancer took her quickly, and I did not even get to say goodbye properly. She left me two things: a small amount of money she had saved over the years, and a pearl necklace that had belonged to her own mother. I wore that necklace on the day I received my acceptance letter from MIT. I remember the moment clearly. I ran downstairs with the letter in my hand, my heart pounding with excitement. Full scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, computer science program. This was everything I had worked for. Every late night studying, every moment of being overlooked. It all led to this. I showed my mother the letter expecting something. Maybe not enthusiasm, but at least acknowledgement. She glanced at it, nodded, and said that was good. Then she added that if I went so far away, who would help with things around the house? Kristen certainly did not have time for chores. My sister was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up just long enough to smirk and say that MIT was full of weird people. That night, my father found me in the garage, sitting at the old computer. He hugged me for a long time and whispered that he was proud of me. It was one of the few times I felt truly seen by him. But even then, he hugged me where my mother could not see. His pride existed only in secret. I left for MIT that fall with one suitcase and the pearl necklace around my neck. I did not look back. College changed me in ways I never expected. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by people who valued intelligence, curiosity, and ambition. Nobody cared that I did not wear designer clothes or that my hair was not perfectly styled. What mattered was what I could create, what problems I could solve, what ideas I could bring to life. It was during my second year that I met Derek. There was a technology conference in Boston, and I had volunteered to help organize one of the panel discussions. He walked in wearing a perfectly tailored suit, confidence radiating from every step. He was getting his MBA at Boston University, and he had come to the conference to network. Instead, he spent the entire afternoon talking to me. Derek was different from the boys I had known in Ohio. He was ambitious, articulate, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. When I talked about my research on machine learning algorithms, his eyes lit up. He asked thoughtful questions. He challenged my ideas in ways that made me think deeper. When the conference ended, he asked if I would like to take a walk along the Charles River. That first walk lasted 3 hours. We talked about our dreams, our fears, our plans for the future. The sun set over the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. He told me I was different from any woman he had ever met. He said I had something that money could not buy. At the time, I thought he meant my mind, my passion, my drive. I did not realize he was already calculating what those qualities might be worth. Our relationship grew quickly. Derek called me every day, sometimes twice. He drove up to Cambridge on weekends, bringing flowers and takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant. He listened when I talked about my struggles with a difficult professor. He celebrated when I got published in a research journal. For the first time, I felt like someone outside of Grandma Louise truly valued me. By my third year at MIT, I was ready to introduce Derek to my family. I chose Thanksgiving, thinking the holiday atmosphere might soften my mother's sharp edges. The drive from Boston to Ohio felt longer than usual. Derek held my hand across the center console, telling me everything would be fine. At first, everything seemed better than fine. My mother greeted Derek at the door with a warmth I had never seen her show to anyone connected to me. She complimented his suit, his car, his handshake. She made his favorite meal after I mentioned he loved roast chicken. She laughed at all his jokes, even the ones that were not funny. Kristen was equally attentive. She had gotten prettier since I left, or maybe she had just learned how to use makeup better. She wore a red dress that hugged her figure and heels that clicked against the hardwood floor. Throughout dinner, she directed question after question at Derek. What was business school like? What were his career plans? Did he work out? Her interest felt excessive, but I pushed the discomfort aside. I told myself she was just being friendly. After dinner, I went to the kitchen to help clean up. When I came back, I saw Kristen leaning close to Derek, laughing at something he said. Her hand rested briefly on his arm. When she noticed me watching, she pulled back smoothly and said she was just getting his phone number. She explained it was in case she ever needed to reach me through him in an emergency. I let it go. I trusted Derek. I trusted that 3 years of building something real could not be undone by a weekend visit. The months that followed should have been warning signs. My senior year at MIT was the most demanding yet. I was working on my thesis, contributing to a major research project, and interviewing for positions at top technology companies. My days started at 6 in the morning and often did not end until midnight. Derek's calls became less frequent. When we did talk, he seemed distracted, rushing through conversations. He cited work pressure, important projects, networking obligations. Every time I flew home for a holiday, he had an excuse for why he could not come. A business trip, a family obligation, a conference he could not miss. My mother filled in the gaps with comments that seemed innocent at the time. She mentioned that Derek had stopped by to drop off a Christmas gift for the family. She noted that he and Kristen had gone to lunch when he was in town just to be friendly. She remarked on how thoughtful he was, always checking in on them, even though I was too busy to call. One night, about 2 months before graduation, Derek called me late. His voice was strange, heavy with something I could not identify. He said there was something he needed to tell me, but he wanted to wait until after my graduation. He did not want to distract me from my thesis defense. He said he loved me, and we would figure everything out together. I told him I loved him too. I told him whatever it was, we could handle it. I hung up the phone and went back to my research, pushing the unease to the back of my mind. Graduation day at MIT was everything I had dreamed of and nothing I had imagined. I stood in my cap and gown among the top performers of my class, my research having earned recognition from the department. The sun was bright, the air filled with the excited chatter of thousands of families celebrating their graduates. I scanned the crowd from my seat, looking for my family. My father sat in the third row, wearing a suit I had never seen before. He looked proud, his eyes wet with tears he kept wiping away. Beside him was my friend Priya, who had driven down from her new job in New York just to support me. There were 2 empty seats next to them. My mother and Kristen had not come. When I called that morning, my mother explained that Kristen was feeling sick and she needed to stay home to take care of her. She said I should understand that I would have other achievements in my life. This one day was not that important in the grand scheme of things. I walked across that stage and accepted my diploma with a smile plastered on my face. Inside, something cracked. But I refused to let it break me. Not on that day. Not after everything I had worked for. After the ceremony, I tried calling Derek. The phone rang and rang before going to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. Priya suggested he might be planning a surprise, something special to celebrate my graduation. I wanted to believe her. The drive back to Ohio took 6 hours. I spent most of it rehearsing what I would say to Derek, how I would tell him about the job offers I had received, the future we could build together now that school was behind me. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, I saw his car parked in front of the house. Relief washed over me. He came. Despite not being at graduation, he came to celebrate with me. I grabbed my diploma and rushed to the front door, pushing it open with a smile already forming on my face. The smile died the moment I stepped inside. Derek sat on the living room couch. My mother sat in the armchair across from him, looking more pleased than I had ever seen her. And next to Derek, her hand intertwined with his, sat Kristen. On her finger was a diamond ring. Not just any ring. The exact ring Derek had shown me pictures of 6 months ago, asking my opinion on the style, because he wanted to make sure I would love it when the time came. The silence that followed lasted maybe 5 seconds. It felt like 5 years. My mother spoke first. She told me to sit down because there was something we needed to discuss. Her voice was calm, practiced, as if she had rehearsed this moment many times. Derek stared at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. Kristen, however, looked right at me with something that might have been triumph or might have been pity. It was hard to tell the difference. Kristen explained that she and Derek had fallen in love. She said it happened the Thanksgiving I brought him home. She claimed that love was something nobody could control. She called me sister, as if that word still meant something after what she had done. I stood frozen, my diploma clutched in my hand like a shield that could protect me from nothing. I asked Derek if he had anything to say to me. My voice came out steady, which surprised me. He finally looked up. His eyes were red, whether from guilt or discomfort, I could not tell. He apologized. He said I was amazing, brilliant, destined for great things. But I was too focused on my career. He needed someone who could be present, who could prioritize him. Your mother helped me see that, he added, gesturing vaguely toward Dolores. My mother nodded, as if confirming a reasonable business decision. She told me that Derek needed a wife who would take care of him, not someone buried in books and computers all day. She said Kristen would make him happy in ways I never could. She suggested I should be thankful this happened now, rather than after a wedding and children. I looked at the three of them. These people who were supposed to love me, who had conspired behind my back for nearly 2 years. I looked at my mother, who had orchestrated this betrayal with the precision of a military campaign. I looked at my sister, who had taken the one good thing I thought I had outside of my career. I looked at Derek, who had chosen the easier path rather than the real one. And then I walked away. Not to my old room, but straight through the house to the back porch. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to process what had just shattered inside my chest. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I went to my old room to pack the few things I had left there. My old laptop sat on the desk, dusty and forgotten. On impulse, I opened it, logging into the family email account I had set up years ago and never deleted. What I found there broke whatever remaining pieces of my heart had survived the day. Emails between my mother and Derek dating back almost 2 years. Hundreds of them. My mother painting a picture of me as cold, ambitious, incapable of love or domesticity. She sent photos of Kristen highlighting her beauty, her availability, her eagerness to please. She arranged secret meetings, dinners, when I was stuck at the lab, weekend visits, when I was drowning in deadlines. One email stood out among the rest. My mother wrote that I would never be a good wife to anyone. She said I only cared about my career and my achievements. She explained that Kristen needed Derek more than I did because Kristen had nothing else going for her. She said it would be better for everyone if Derek chose the daughter who actually needed him. I read every single email. The tears that fell were not for Derek. They were for the mother I realized I never had. I left Ohio the next morning before anyone else woke up. My father found me loading my car in the gray light of dawn. He stood on the porch in his bathrobe, looking older than I had ever seen him. He asked me not to go like this. His voice cracked on the words. He said he was sorry, that he should have stopped it, that he was a coward. I walked up to him and wrapped my arms around his thin frame. I told him I did not blame him, but I also told him I could not stay. I said I needed him to be stronger for himself, if not for me. Then I got in my car and drove away. The drive to Boston gave me 6 hours to think, to cry, to rage, and finally to plan. By the time I reached my apartment, I had made a decision. I would not let this destroy me. I would use it as fuel. I accepted a position at a startup in Silicon Valley, turning down more prestigious offers because this company was taking risks, pushing boundaries, doing things that scared the established players. Within 3 months of arriving in San Francisco, I had proven my value. Within a year, I was leading a team. Within 2 years, I had developed an artificial intelligence algorithm that changed how the entire industry approached machine learning. During those early years, I found a mentor who changed my life. Dr. Patricia Harrison was a woman in her 50s who had built and sold 3 successful companies. She had also survived a betrayal similar to mine, a business partner who had stolen her work and taken credit for her innovations. When I told her my story one evening over glasses of wine, she listened without judgment. Then she said something I carry with me to this day. She told me that success is the sweetest revenge, but I should never live for revenge. She said I should live for myself. At 28, I co-founded my own technology company with 2 partners I trusted completely. We built something revolutionary, something that attracted the attention of investors and competitors alike. Within 3 years, our company was valued at over $500 million. Forbes magazine featured me in their 30 Under 30 list. I spoke at conferences where thousands of people paid to hear my ideas. And through it all, I heard nothing from my mother or Kristen. My father called occasionally brief conversations where we talked about weather and sports, carefully avoiding the wounds that still had not healed. I sent him money when he needed it, made sure he was comfortable. But I could not go back. Not yet. The news came 3 years after the wedding I was never invited to attend. My father called his voice tired in a way that suggested many sleepless nights. Derek had left Kristen. He had emptied their joint bank account and disappeared with a woman he met at his gym. Kristen was devastated, broke, living back with my mother. And my mother herself was sick. Something with her heart. The medical bills were piling up, and there was no money to pay them. My father did not ask me directly for help. He did not have to. He simply told me what was happening and let the silence stretch between us. I did not respond immediately. I told him I needed time to think. For 3 days, I carried that phone call with me like a stone in my chest. Part of me wanted to say nothing to let them face the consequences of their choices. They had discarded me like I was worthless. Why should I save them now? But another part of me, the part shaped by my grandmother's wisdom, knew that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. The hatred I felt was hurting me more than it could ever hurt them. On the 4th day, I called my father. I told him I would pay for my mother's treatment. I told him to give me the details of the hospital, the doctors, whatever was needed. But I also told him I would not come home. I would not see her. I would not pretend that money could undo what had been done. He cried. He thanked me over and over. He said I was a better person than any of them deserved. Maybe I am, or maybe I am just someone who finally understood that forgiveness is not about the people who hurt you. It is about freeing yourself from the weight of carrying their sins. Today, I live in a house overlooking the San Francisco Bay. I wake up every morning to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the sound of waves in the distance. I have a partner who respects my ambitions, celebrates my successes, and loves me not despite my drive, but because of it. We are building a life together on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine partnership. I created a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name. Every year, it helps young women from difficult backgrounds pursue education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When I meet these scholars, when I see the fire in their eyes and the determination in their spirits, I see myself at 18, desperate to escape and determined to succeed. My father divorced my mother last year. He lives in a small apartment now, simple but peaceful. We talk every week, real conversations about real things. He has started volunteering at a local community center, teaching basic computer skills to seniors. He says it makes him feel useful. I think it makes him feel like the man he always wanted to be. Kristen reached out to me once about a year ago. She sent a long email apologizing for everything, explaining how lost she had been, how she had let our mother manipulate her into believing she deserved what I had built. She asked if we could try to rebuild our relationship. I read her email 3 times. Then I wrote back a single paragraph. I told her I wished her well. I told her I hoped she would find her own path, her own success, her own happiness. But I also told her that some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt. Some wounds once inflicted leave scars that never fully fade. I told her I forgave her not for her sake, but for mine. And then I said goodbye. I do not hate my mother or my sister anymore. Hatred requires energy, and I have better uses for mine. What I feel now is something closer to pity. They spent so many years trying to diminish me, and in the end, they only diminished themselves. My mother is alive because of money I earned through the talents she dismissed. Kristen is starting over at 30 with no skills and no direction while I am building an empire. But here is the truth. I have learned the lesson that took years of therapy and reflection to fully understand. My success is not revenge. My happiness is not a weapon against them. I did not rise to prove them wrong. I rose because rising is who I am. It is who I was always meant to be. Grandma Louise knew it. She saw it in me when I was just a child, overlooked and undervalued. She planted a seed with her words and her love, and everything I have built grows from that seed. So, if you are watching this and you feel invisible, if the people who should love you make you feel worthless, if you are drowning in a sea of doubt and criticism, let me tell you something. Your value is not determined by those who refuse to see it. Your worth is not diminished by those who choose to ignore it. You have the power to build your own world, to define your own success, to rise higher than anyone who tried to hold you down. Sometimes I still think about that cream-colored wedding invitation. I think about the girl who sat alone in her tiny apartment, heart-shattered, future uncertain. I wish I could go back and tell her what I know now. I wish I could hold her hand and promise her that the worst moment of her life would become the foundation for everything beautiful that followed. But that girl does not need my reassurance anymore. She figured it out on her own. She rose higher than them both, and she is finally completely free. I want to hear from you now. Have you ever experienced betrayal from the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally? How did you find the strength to move forward? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button to help others find it. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story about resilience, redemption, and rising above. And share this video with someone who might need a reminder that their worth is not defined by those who fail to see it. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you carry something from it into your own journey. May you find the courage to build your own world, the strength to walk away from those who diminish you, and the wisdom to know that forgiveness is not about them. It is about setting yourself free. Until next time, take care of yourself. You are worth it.